gone too far away from that.
So I'm sure the young ones will be
So they should ask questions now, yeah.
They should be wondering what is happening.
The microphones, I think I can see two microphones. Let me, okay, oh, well, you have a lot of people. Let's begin here.
I've lost my voice a bit because of
if you can get a microphone. Yes, please.
My question is on the debts. This year, debts, yes.
The debt of Ghana?
Yes.
Yes, correct.
This year, the World Bank and then IMF raised worrying concerns over our excessive borrowing. Currently, we stand at 273.8 billion Ghana cedis, which is equivalent to $48 billion. And also, that's 71% to GDP. Now, my question is, in Ghana, most of our revenue goes into debt servicing, and even sometimes we even have to borrow money to pay for some of our debts. I want to know the plans that have been put in place by the NPP to maximize revenue and to minimize borrowing. I know that the debt is huge and some of it is inherited. So I want to know, do we even have plans to pay for a significant number of debts that we owe? Thank you.
Are you an economics student?
That's a very good question. Clap for it. Yeah.
Are you an economic student?
I don't know.
No.
Okay.
Well, normally, I don't like to dabble into economics very much, but I know for a fact that this government came and inherited a very difficult situation. Very difficult situation, where we were under the tutelage of the IMF, and we've tried to win ourselves off the IMF. I try to break down politics like, or economic governance like what you do at home, because it's all about expenditure and revenue. It's all about expenditure and revenue. You cannot spend more than you earn. And recently the president launched the tree development authority, okay? The tree crop development authority, because we want to increase our revenue base. You understand? We've been hanging our hopes on cocoa for the last 100 years, but we know that there are other crops that can push us. And so that has been done right now. In fact, it is projected that we'll be able to generate more than $7 billion in the next 3 years from that initiative. So that can bring something into the kitty. Yes, as for the debt overhang, it's something that I do believe we will have to deal with. If you look at our manifesto and you look at the posture of Dr. Baumia, who is chair of the economic management team, that is the reason why they are pushing these digital platforms, okay, the digitization of the economy. One, to bring more people into the formal sector, because the economy is largely informal. And so therefore there's always that kind of overhang. You have a country of 30 million people, only 2 million are on SNIT. I'm not sure even we make up to 2 million. You understand? So means that a few people in formal sector are being overburdened. So it's all about creating this Ghana card, having a database that is strong, that caters for everything. You don't have a situation where if you are going to have a driver's license, you have to have a different biometric card, so and so. Once we get our database right, then the revenue that we are looking at, the government can have a handle on the revenue and we can push up the revenue. A lot of interventions. We talk about reforestation, for instance, which can attract foreign capital because it will make a contribution towards the climate change situation. There's a lot of green funding that can support that. So yes, it's a difficult situation that we face economically as a country, but I think that I've said it and I'll repeat it, the NPP are better managers of the economy than the NDC. Yeah. And I do believe that in the next 4 years, the accelerated transformation of the economy will cater for those things so that we can reduce our debt to GDP ratio to more acceptable levels.
Yes, please.
You representing the NPP have said a lot in testament to the NPP's re-election, the presidential re-election. The NDC would also say a lot in testament to their victory in the elections. I want to know, in the event, perhaps it would be unlikely to you, but in the event that the NPP loses the election, I want to know how you're going to handle it, because President Trump in the United States had set a certain precedent. I want to know if you are dissatisfied, you would follow the constitutional processes, and if perhaps that does not go in your favor, you would accept it.
Well,
Okay.
one thing I want you to know, that if you are a politician, elections are not like football matches. There's never going to be a draw. It's going to be a winner. You understand? So you prepare yourself for the two. The fact that you are confident of victory doesn't mean you don't prepare yourself for defeat. Then you not be a politician then. You have to prepare yourself for everything. And we have been through the whole process. I mean, from opposition, we've been in government, lost in 2008. So I've gone through the same cycle. A lot of us have been the senior ones. We've seen the cycle. It's nothing new to us. But I'm telling you, from what I've seen on the ground, there's no chance of the NDC winning this election. And in any case, most parties get 2 terms. Okay? And this is our second term. People have forgotten as if it's the second term. And we had a huge gap in the first term. To overturn 1 million into a deficit for us in 4 years is not going to happen. And the statistic, the data and everything that is coming out doesn't suggest so. So I'm very confident that we are going to win this. First round, I've predicted 53%. I think Nana will carry it. We'll have a handsome majority in Parliament. I'm not sure whether it will be the same 169, but whatever the case may be, we'll have a handsome majority in Parliament. You understand? So don't worry about that. And in any case, even in 2012, when we felt that we were not happy with the result, we didn't resort to anything to bring the House down. We went to the Supreme Court. And even in 2000, when we were in government, when we led the first round by 103,000 vote difference, somehow the second round we were able to lose it by the skin of our teeth, and even that one, nothing happened. So at least on our side, I think we have been the good guys here, because even when we've lost like this, when they are losing is big. We beat them well. Yes, it's there, So that question, you better put it to Mahama and the NDC. We have shown our record that we're not that kind of people. But I want to let you be rest assured that this 2020 election, I've been around all the 4 corners of the country with the president. I've seen with my eyes the impact. I mean, roads that when I traveled with President Kufuor were just farm tracks. Now you go and see beautiful roads in place. And people appreciate that. They do, they really do. I mean, in the cities we are different, where our lifestyle is different, we are a bit more difficult to satisfy. I talked about 150,000 household toilets, and you think it's nothing, but it's a lot. People have to wake up and go and queue and walk distances just to be able to go and face nature's call, you understand? And many other things, which touches on the lives of people, so, I mean, and it's a second term. I can tell you for a fact, this election, there's no chance the NDC win in this election.
My question is going to be a little personal about you, knowing you and reading about you and following you a lot. We heard stories about your dad unfortunately being part of the justices which were murdered during the regime of Rawlings. So I wanted to know, when Rawlings, or did you ever forgive him? Because some said he was complicit. And how did you feel when you heard he had passed away?
You see, if I'm a Methodist and I'm very divine, when I say I'm very divine, I'm not saying that I don't sin, but I believe in divinity. And vengeance is God's. And you see, bitterness is a waste of emotion. Bitterness is a waste of emotion. And so, although we have never forgotten the pain that we went through, forgiveness, I've said it many, many years ago. As I said, maybe you are too young. We've forgiven the detractors, those who committed the crime. They will live with it till the time they are no more on earth. In life, there's something called the spirit of contentment. If you don't find that, and that's what I want the young people to find. Spirit of contentment. Be happy with what God has made you to be, and enjoy it, because every day is a blessing. You know, I was a kid, 20 years old, first year engineering student, when this tragic, and it was really tragic, you know. So I don't think it's for me to relive the tragic and tell you exactly what happened, but I'm sure you've read the books, and, you know. But I moved on. I mean, in those days, even having a place to lay your head was difficult. Living rich in the posh residential area and going to hide in Kolebu in the nurses' quarters and having to wake up early morning and go and fetch water and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, you have to be tough. I think my father wanted me to be strong. He disciplined me before he died, so I've always been mentally tough. So I went through it, went through university, finished my civil engineering, and then started working at Ghana Highway Authority. So, yes, of course, there were times in the 90s that when I grew up a bit matured, read the books, read the accounts, read the SIB report, and I felt that there were people walking the streets of Accra who were responsible for that. I made that clear to the world. If you go back into, I still have the copies of my press conferences. I had 7 press conferences in 1999, calling for a reopening of the inquiry into that. Of course, nobody listened to me, but it doesn't matter. I mean, what I encourage Ghanaian people is to be able to ride pain and not waste your emotions on bitterness. Because when you are bitter, the person who has hurt you doesn't even know that you are bitter. He's walking away, you know? So you have to carry on with life. But when they see you are happy and okay, they feel a bit threatened, you know? So that's how I want to answer that, you know?
General, you are very optimistic about the president's re-election.
Yes.
How do you reckon the issues around Domelevo and Martin Amidu will impact on the results?
Oh, no, that's insignificant. It's still a few middle-class people. What are the issues with Domelevo? What are the major issues with Domelevo?
He's been asked to proceed on leave.
The president has the authority to do that, you know.
Civil society was not happy.
It's not all decisions of the president that everybody will be happy with. And no president is perfect, you understand. But, I mean, is there something big there that you can talk about? Even with this Ejapa that people are talking about, has a crime been committed yet? I mean, really. I mean, we are making too much fuss about something that hasn't even happened yet. You understand? So, look, to the guy in the street, to the guy in Woman No Good. You know Woman No Good? It's in Amenfi West. you know, you go to those communities and that's what, they haven't even heard of Amidu. You understand? So you can't fix all your chances on Amidu's resignation. In any case, he has been given an opportunity to deliver. He hasn't delivered. Office and all the things that he required to do his work, he should be answering to the people of Ghana why he hasn't delivered. The president did not attempt to stop him. He never did. If he asks you that, give them an opportunity, those who have been mentioned in your report, to respond, can that be construed to mean interference in your work? No. He could go, in fact, he has prosecutorial powers, I do believe.
He does, yeah.
Yeah, so what stopped him from prosecuting? So he hasn't delivered. He hasn't delivered. So I think he's failed the country.
Let me take another question. Yes.
Good evening, Mr. Agyepong. Thank you for joining us. My name is Anna Berima. I'd like to find out from you what you make of the seeming rift between opposition political parties and then the EC. It appears as though any party that finds itself in opposition is at loggerheads with the EC, which is unhealthy for our democracy. What do you think contributes to this, and how do you propose we can cure it?
Do you watch football?
Not really.
You don't?
No.
How can it be? Every guy should watch football. In fact, all women too. You see how the captains, they go to the referees, what they do? Mm-hmm. You know, it's part of life. I mean, I think you can't do it for now, or you can't say it's because of the current situation. But even from Udru Numpapao's time, Justice Ufori Boateng and those times, in 1992 when we had the interim National Electoral Commission, you know, which was appointed by then the military leader. And then that's when they refused to reopen the register and that kind of stuff. So there's that antagonism. In fact, the first election, most people don't remember that the presidential election was staged in November and the parliamentary election in December. So we boycotted the parliamentary election. I mean, if you stage a presidential election and you rig it, what is the motivation for me to go for a parliamentary election? You know, but it was all part of the psychological arrangements to break us down. You understand? So it created a certain unhealthy relationship between our party and the Electoral Commission. And after we went into the constitutional rule, one of the deputies, Dr. Afarijan, also became the Electoral Commission. And we had issues with Afarijan. We had a lot of issues with Afarijan, you know, not out of just anything, but I thought sometimes, you know, there were things that we should insist on. And like I said here, I think the Electoral Commission should be an independent, strong, and firm body.
But sir, his real question is what you are talking about. So you had issues with Afarijan when you were in opposition.
Yes.
When you came into government between 2000 and 2004,
we still had issues. We still had issues with it.
Oh, really?
Yes, we did.
That would be the first time a governing party had issues.
In 2007,
yeah,
when President Kufuor wanted this national ID, the Ghana card, Afarijan joined the NDC and said they won't accept it because it would infringe on the work of the Electoral Commission. I disagreed. I said we should have a national database.
No, but around elections, say 2004.
It was part of it.
Was the NPP in power against Afarijan in 2004? Would you disagree with him?
We had this very frosty relationship. We all know that. And of course, he's somebody we respected. He's also he's a fighter, you know. But it's an overhang of 1992 till he retired. You know, so I think that perhaps, I think if you have something that has evidence, is evidence-based, you should say it as a party, but not just create tension and confusion, like the recent thing about extra ballot papers and burning and all sorts of things. You know, don't create apprehension, because when we meet at IPAC, when we are doing the printing, we have a protocol that we all follow. We've done it many times. We have a protocol. The parties are there. They take the serial numbers, everything. You know, so you don't go out of those protocols and shout as if there's something, you know, and create some panic. But I think the NDC is normally good at that. And they are very good at ways and means, you know. Unfortunately, they are not so good at governance.
My name is Frank Bannerman-Menson, and I'm a student entrepreneur. For a long time, or what is normally known, I own a bakery. And what is normally known is the government sponsors or funds entrepreneurs who bring about more innovative ideas. I wanted to know what policy the NPP plans to implement or has put in place for people who have more conventional ideas as compared to innovative ideas.
Well, I think there has been a program in place, I think in the Business Development Ministry, where the president has been supporting innovative, I mean, there was a challenge, innovative challenge, and I think the winner got 100,000
cedis.
Was it cedis or dollars?
Cedis.
Cedis, okay. So they
What's the name again?
Essential pitch. Presidential pitch, yes. Yes, so, and that's one. For instance, as a result of this unfortunate COVID pandemic, NBSSI, which is the National Board for Small Scale Industries, is supporting small scale entrepreneurs like yourself with reasonable credit at very low interest rates. Okay, because the commercial interest rates are very high. And we have EXIM, which used to be, in fact, it used to be EDIF, Export Development Investment Fund, which has accrued over years that whenever importers bring, we take, I think, 0.5 or 1%. It's got a fund, and the Exim Bank is using that to support people like you, and so that you can have access to capital at very, very reasonable and moderate rates rather than the commercial 27%, 24% rates that you see with the normal banks. So there are quite a number of interventions in the Ministry of Trade and Industry, the Business Development Ministry. Those interventions are there.
Okay. But I like what you say, you have a bakery.
Yes,
as a student.
Yes, please.
Please clap for him. In Accra,
Yes.
so you'd have tea bread, sugar bread?
I know, I'm more into cakes.
Cakes, okay.
Oh, cakes,
Bronze
okay.
to bakery.
Confectionery, cakes and
Yes.
croissant. Okay, all right, okay. Okay,
Did you
thank
say you were Bannerman Mensen or Bannerman Mensa?
Bannerman Mensen.
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 Yes, please.
Oh, my teacher was
Is your
Bannerman Mensa.
grandfather the lawyer?
Yes, please.
Oh, I see, okay. The lawyer who just passed at 99. That's
Yes,
your
please.
grandfather?
Yes, please.
Okay, then I must know your father. I was in school with 3 of the Bannerman Mensons. B.B. Mensen.
Okay. My father is Arnold Bannerman Mensen.
Arnold, yeah, he's much older. I didn't meet him. They were all in Presec.
Yes, please.
Yes, okay, all right. We'll talk about that later. Yes, Richard.
Hello. Okay, my name is Richard. I've always enjoyed listening to you, Mr. Agyepong, and I remember as a little boy how instrumental you were in President Kufuor's government. I want to ask you, should we expect to see you take up a ministerial position under President Akufo-Addo? Should the NPP win power? That's my first question. And then secondly, why did the NPP leave you alone to battle it out with Okovanda Poi, Fifi Kwete, and Rojo Metonunu in the 2008 strong room? We watched that video in the Jared Med's video of African election, and I was wondering why you were the only one in the NPP to face of them. And then finally, when is your memoir going to come out? Your memoir, you mentioned it. When is it going to come out? Wow. Thank you.
I don't have a notepad, so I'm
the
not
first
sure.
is ministerial.
Oh, I mean, as I said, I am a party person, so I serve my party first. So I serve my presidential candidate. I want to support him. I believe he will win. And once he wins, it is his call. I mean, he decides who makes up his government. And if he finds space for me, why not? You know, I'm still very young. Not as young, though.
Okay, the next question was the Jarismet. Okay.
You want me to go into those details?
Maybe not really.
Not really. I mean,
but the reference is to a film done by a British Ghanaian called Jared Met. It's entitled An African Election. And in that film, which captures election 2008, Mr. Agyepong was seen fighting the battle of his life in the strong room.
Yeah.
It was a complicated situation because the results were coming in for the 2008 election. 1.5 days or so, parliamentary results had come in. And the NPP, the ruling party, appeared to have lost the parliamentary elections. But they were leading with a big margin in the presidential elections. And so the dashboard, we talk about dashboard. The dashboard at that time was now counting how many more votes the presidential candidate of the NPP needed to win the election. He needed 25,000. So he had 103,000, and by the calculation of the number of ballots that are being cast.